JAFFOs, ball out, Pro Bowl, Tony Romo, 40-yard dash, boy, don't be slow-mo. Get on the court, boy, I'm in go. Outside in the sun like Elliot Kobo. I'm running fast, LA de la Cruz. Turn on the JAFFOs, get my news. A7FL doing good, how I knew. All-Pro JAFFO, the All-Pro, Utah sports, they speak fast. You talk smack, you get sacked. Come tune in, sit in chat. Sport you like, they speak all that.
Hey, yo, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the All-Pro JAFFOs, bringing you the highly elevated sports talk for the highly elevated sports fan. I am your host, the bad guy, JP. Alongside me, as always, the greatest DJ on the motherfucking planet, Mr. DJ Mad Sticks.
What up?
We got another big show for you, ladies and gentlemen. We got the Week 2 recap of the A7FL, and what would it be without a guest? Because, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us quarterback of the Virginia Heathens, the man they call Captain America. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Mr. Ryan Burroughs. How are you, sir?
I'm good, fellas. How are you?
Doing
Oh,
well,
no.
doing well. A big win this past week. Congratulations on that. You guys got your first win as a franchise in the A7. It pretty dominating fashion, to be completely honest. But first things first, as we do with every first time guest, especially with people who have not been watching or paying attention. Former rugby player, or I think still a rugby player that still dabbles in back and forth. Give a little bit of the background for yourself, for those, because people, we're talking about an international guy here. Like, we're talking about somebody who's well known in the rugby community. So, can you give the Jaffo Army a little bit of insight on Captain America?
Yeah, certainly. So I played football growing up my whole life. I grew up in Manassas, Virginia, right? And then when I joined the Army when I was 19.
Appreciate your service, sir.
Oh, I didn't do much, so don't thank me.
Either
I'm
way.
the Milli Vanilli of Patriots, but so I started playing rugby while I was in one of my best friends, Chris Frazier. He played one game with the Buzz last year with me, but he's the one who got me to play rugby, and then ended up doing really well in rugby. Made the USA national team in 2015. Been on that pretty consistently. Well, since 2015, me and another guy named Joe Eichner, that I think most capped USA rugby league players in the history of the sport, which is kind of cool. So started doing that. Signed a contract to go to Australia. Played professional or semi-professional rugby in Australia, and then signed a full-time professional contract in the UK. Lived there for like 4 years, 3 years, something like that. And then came back, played in the Major League Rugby here for like a year and a half, but that was right when COVID happened. So they canceled the season, and then people think there's a lot of money in rugby, and there's not like a ton. So it's nothing like the NFL or anything like that. So I mean, there's you can, like, it's not crazy. It's more the perks that you get with everything than the salary. But decided I wanted to get back to working and stuff like that. So I kind of I had a couple offers to go elsewhere to play, but I was 30 at that point, so I was like, all right, let me get my life together. And then I started my own rugby club here in America called the DC Cavalry. And yeah, ironically, I wasn't even supposed to play Sunday. I had a rugby game with the rugby union club that I play with, Riverlands. I was supposed to go to North Carolina on Saturday, and I was going to be down there all weekend, but my Jeep decided it wanted to take a dump on me. So so I got stuck, and then they were like, Momo messaged me and was like, man, we're going to miss you tomorrow. And I was like, well, I'm not going to Raleigh now, so I guess I can play. And yeah, they picked me up on the way there, and yeah, we had a day. So it was pretty fun.
I mean, when one door closes, another one opens up. I mean, it just it's I'm I guess we as fans of the A7 getting to watch what happened this last Sunday. I mean, I guess that's a little bit of a blessing in disguise because we got to see more. We saw glimpses of it, against the Watchmen last week because the stream wise and everything wasn't. There's not a whole lot in Baltimore right now, even though that's trying to get resolved. But now, basically seeing you guys in full action, this past Sunday was pretty damn impressive. What and I've asked this before, and I know people have had kind of the same reaction, like, oh, this league, no pads, no helmets, it's kind of tough. But you come from a rugby background, so I'm sure looking at this wasn't too different, wasn't too outside of the realm of pot. Like, what made you want to get into this league to begin with?
Oh man, so I've always like I've seen it, and I was like, it's literally like it's an organized turkey bowl, right? Like it's
Yep.
it's awesome. Like I love every Thanksgiving. Like me and my boys, we always go play, and like CJ actually, Charles Sharp Jr. He's the one who he came to our thing. I think was it last year, and he tried to get me to come play, but I had a lot going on last year, so I was only able to play the one game with the Buzz last year, so I couldn't really commit. But once I knew like I was able to actually like give it, more of an effort this year, I told him I was in because it looks so much fun. And like I don't love flag football because you got guys in flag football that talk shit because they so, am I allowed to cuss on here? Sorry,
Oh yeah, you say whatever you fucking want.
yeah. My bad. But like someone pulls your flag and then they talk shit, and I'm like, bro, I would fuck you up if this was like tackle. You know what I'm saying? So to see like you know the fast pace of it being like similar to flag football in that aspect, but still have the physicality of, I would consider this more physical, like the contact and stuff like that is very similar to rugby to me.
Hmm.
I will say I don't think people tackle as well in this league. It's a lot of arm tackling and things like that. Like the tackling's a bit different. So like I try to position my body to where I don't like hip drop tackles and stuff like that. They're pretty common in this league.
Yeah.
So I try to avoid that at all costs. That's why I kind of run a bit upright and yeah, I'm doing
And
things a little
forward.
different.
I have yet to see you go backwards on contact. And you bring up the arm tackling and stuff, and I think that's something that it's mostly because there are a lot of guys, and I mean they can come and throw it in the comments or say whatever it is that they
I'm
want
not
to.
speaking about everybody because I haven't
No,
seen
no, right,
everybody
right,
play.
but there is a lot of guys in the league who come from flag, and I think it's not that they can't fully rap. I think it's more of kind of like it's just a habit of just to throw your arms out and see what
Yeah.
happens. But when you're going up against somebody who plays rugby, physical style of running, arm tackling is just not going to work. And that goes for for everybody in the league because we saw it a lot this past week. That was not just a with the game with you guys and the Hawks. We were seeing it all around the league. A lot of arm tackling, a lot of things that I think players, especially new to the league, are going to have to kind of uh, uh, get used to
Yeah.
the style. But I mean, the similarities with the rugby and the fact that it's forcing everybody, especially no pads, no helmets. You can't come at somebody like a heat-seeking missile, like if you were to have regular pads on. So it's forcing people to tackle properly,
Yeah.
and you get penalized when you don't. So the similarities to it are there, but I mean, watching what was going on, and I thought it was funny because you can run the ball. That's not up for debate. what was being questioned by apparently a lot of people in the chat, sometimes even the commentary, Big Rob and Matt were fighting, like, because they were just going off of what they heard. It was a question on whether or not you can throw the ball, and then the next thing you know, you're in there, dad cap, no look, cross field over to Mean Dean in the corner of the end zone, almost perfect. I'm like, yeah, no, what whoever said that he couldn't throw is full of shit. First of all, yeah, so that's just. But like it looks like you're having fun. The guys seem to, be coming to get. Dean is like, that dude is
Yeah,
there,
Pat is.
there's
That's a
something
good
going
old.
on with Dean. That guy loves to play the game.
Yeah,
It seems.
he told me before the game, he was like, "Man, I want to highlight like you had last week, so my son can see it." And I was like, "All right, we'll try and get you some." And he created most of it himself, really. Dean, well, Pat's a weapon, man. He's like even in like our practices and stuff like that. And I guess I'll go back to the first part of it. Initially, like I wasn't used to the wind um too much like that. Like it was like I couldn't tell which freaking direction it was going, so it took me
That's
a
Bernie
little
Park is
while
that
to.
type of stadium. Yeah.
Yeah. And then so I think I got the timing down with James and Pat, and I'm starting to get better with them because we haven't had a lot of time together, right? Like, so I'm trying to gauge on, you know, when I can just absolutely just throw the ball as far as I can, knowing I'm not going to overthrow him, which happened a couple times to Pat. But doing that, adjusting to the wind and stuff like that, and then really just kind of because against the Watchmen, I think everybody had those like week one jitters, and everyone was really nervous, and I knew I could run the ball, you know, well, but we're not going to beat a team like the Watchmen just running the ball for 4 quarters. It's just not going to happen. They're too good. Their pass rush, their Watchmen pass rush was just. I'm not trying to throw the Hawks under the bus, but it was a lot better than the Hawks pass rush. So um, adjusting to that, the jitters and all that good stuff. Like, I mean, even week one, like there's a couple 2 drop touchdowns, and then they said I stepped out of bounds on a what it would have been probably like a 70-yard touchdown run, but and that keeps us competitive with the Watchmen. So we didn't get too down on ourselves going into this week because we knew we could, hang with some of these top teams, and we're still trying to figure some stuff out. But yeah, like you know, I think I can throw it pretty well. That I didn't
Oh,
even
you
realize
was
I
at it.
had. I didn't even realize I had the hat on because I thought I was done for the day because I was just like, it's getting chippy. I was like, just take me out.
Oh.
And then Pat ran that punt return back there. Ryan, go to quarterback. I was like, oh, I didn't even realize I had the hat on until I came off the field, which is that
It,
was
it made it made for some excellent conversation. That's for sure. It
yeah,
made things look a little funnier, a little bit, because again, just the no look cross the field, just it was almost like an icing on the cake type of thing.
yeah,
But so I mean, God, the fact that you guys haven't really had too much time together, and it does seem that you guys are starting to, or at least in this game, there was the chemistry, the gel was starting to really kind of show, and there was a lot of talk about this Heathens team, some unknowns, some, with players that the league relatively knows. And this team was something that was a topic of conversation of this team could actually, even though they're new, at least franchise wise, this could be a team that can cause people some problems. And I definitely think that you guys showed that on Sunday. Um, so now you guys get your first win, the first game jitters, first 2 weeks, in the books. You guys got the Buzz coming in, visiting team this next week. What are some things that you guys have been either talking with each other, some preparation stuff, going into to week 3?
So, like we left the Watchmen game with a little bit of momentum, um, and then we went into this game, and we only had 2 drives in the first half, right? So, like, we couldn't really get much going because we wasted. I mean, I think the Hawks wasted the majority of the time in the first quarter, and then we got the ball. Didn't We got an interception? Didn't score. Then they drove all the way down the field after we did a throw off to them. They wasted the majority of the clock, and then we were able to tie it up right before halftime. So just it's more of like our defense needs to get off the field. Like there'd be like 3rd and long situations where we give up a penalty or something like that, which it happens to everybody. So if we can work on that, like our defense definitely, it was a night and day difference between this week and against the Watchmen. So and those guys there's a bunch of dogs on that defense, so they're gonna get it right again. Like, and then us as the offense, we just need to protect the football and no turnovers. Like we had 2 turnovers against the Watchmen. I threw 2 pretty poor passes against the Watchmen, and um, we just going into this game, it's just mistake free football. It's just we're gonna keep it pretty simple. I don't think we need to do anything different than we did against the Hawks necessarily. Just yeah, everybody on our team likes it's more of like everybody plays for each other rather than themselves, which is great. Um, we got some we got some studs on this team.
I mean that was evident, and the defense was no joke. Yeah, there was a lot of plays that, especially that hit. I forget
Oh,
who it was,
it
but
was Quan
oh,
Collins.
good lord, just poor offensive guy. He did not stand a chance. He didn't even know he was coming, and just boom. I
If
mean,
he
I
didn't look
thought
for the
Corey
hit,
was
he
going to
probably
get
could have got
sacked.
a pick.
Well, I mean, it was one of those. Okay, am I going to get a pick six, or do I want to actually strike fear into my opponent? And I think he made the right decision there, for sure, because it's one of those tempo style plays that you want to set an example of. We're going to be here all day long, and it's going to be a nightmare for you guys, and that's basically what it looked like. So I mean, it's a long season. I mean, not long per se in other people's eyes and stuff, but the physicality part of it, it takes a toll. So as as the quarterback, as the leader, as some are saying, obviously Captain America, the leader of the Avengers here, that's going on. What are some things that you as a quarterback, like what is your leadership style? Like what are some qualities that you kind of bring that helps everybody along the way?
So I like to joke a lot, just to keep everything kind of mellow. I don't know why I've always been that way. Like but they know I can be serious, and they know like I think the difference, like I don't know if you remember the first play, but I did like a read option, and when I did that, and it took quite a few of their guys to start pushing me back, and then the one guy wants to be a dickhead and rip the ball out like towards the end, like he's proven a point. And then I told him to bring the whole fucking team next time, and everybody kind of rallied around that, and everybody got hype, and I
Oh,
want at that point that's when I wanted to prove a point, and I'm not going to try and juke. I'm not going to try doing anything else. There's a expression in rugby league, it's just called run it straight. So I'm going to find somebody, I'm just going to run it straight at you, and I promise it's going to hurt you more than it's going to hurt me. So that's the mindset that I was going, because they were saying a bunch of shit on the sideline, like I think he's a older veteran in this league. I forgot his name. But he was like he kept saying I had a swoosh in my hair and all this different shit, and I couldn't throw, and I was just like, all right, come play defense then. He never did. Because I was gonna find him and I was just gonna run it straight at him every single time. So
Man,
yeah,
that
so I like to lead by example. So
ladies and gentlemen, this Captain America has no problem telling you to go fuck yourself. That's hilarious to me. That is absolutely hilarious to me. Not, cause, I mean, because I saw that too, and then again, he was kind of the dude who was talking shit was kind of trailing you while you, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know. This is gonna be a long day. This is
and then
gonna
he, and
go
then he
off.
mo- he moved the same guy moved out of the way when I ran straight at him on an extra point. So I think I got my point across. Like,
Talk is cheap. You gotta actually prove it when you get on the field.
yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
shout
great.
out to their I think he was their safety, but that dude, he wasn't scared to get his head in there. So shout out to him. He was a nice guy. So and their running back. Man, I'm terrible with names, but their running back was a dog too. He was a good player.
Yeah, no, the Hawks got a good squad there that they've got something to build upon. For sure. But it's just when you see, it's not very often when you watch quarterbacks who are absolutely no fear when it comes to contact. Most will either run out of bounds, most, slide, whatever it may be, but being able to kind of watch a quarterback go in, lower the boom, and then on top of that, get up and be able to talk shit with you as well. That to me, personally, that I love it. I love watching that. And it doesn't do anything besides, one, kind of break the will of the other team, but two, it rallies everybody else on your team around you, which it by definitely did. It was noticeable, even watching it from TV. Um, so what's been, because obviously this is, I've talked to everybody else. There's adjustments and everything that need to be made when you're playing this type of game. But for you, I feel like it's a little bit different, I guess, because, again, coming from a rugby background, you compared it, organized turkey bowl, which it is. We've described it that way on this show, as well. When you first kind of came into this league, were there any certain, adjustments that you felt like you needed to make in order to be actually successful?
Um, I don't think so. Just because like I've played enough football in my life to understand how the game works and all that stuff. I think there's a few little, like uh, rules and stuff that I wasn't quite familiar. Like you can't be more than 5 yards when you snap the ball and certain things like that. So I didn't realize that until we were playing the Watchmen, and I just felt like every time I said hike, they were in my face, and I was like, "Holy shit!" So it's a pretty fast paced game, and then like adjusting to who you're playing. Like so, luckily, I could only watch film on the Watchmen from last year, so I was able to watch the Hawks game versus the Octane, and I looked at certain players' tendencies on what they like to do. And I just literally was just like, all right, we're gonna do exactly like everything I saw in this film. They didn't cover the running backs well. If they rush four, they didn't cover the tight ends well. If you let them through, there's going to be a screen, which we ran a halfback screen. So like they kind of played into what I wanted them to do. Where there were certain plays where I was just like, yeah, come get me, and then I would just dump it off or something like that. And then being able to take the top off of a defense with James, the dude's a freaking stud. Like I threw that thing, just I was like, all right, he's gonna go get it. So to be able to connect with him, it's like, yeah, guys better watch out because that dude is absolute lightning. And so is Pat. Like Pat's fast too. So
Yeah, no, I noticed that. Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I was about to say that white boy's got some speed. Because he, on that 3-on-1, he put his foot in the dirt, one cut, and just ran completely around.
yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, this guy's gonna be a. And I messaged him a little bit. Shout out to Mean Dean. He's like, what do I got to do to get on the plays of the week? I just keep balling out, man. Just keep ball. I guarantee at some point you will, because I mean, highlight plays like that, the come and get me. I just it's entertaining stuff. I guarantee he will be on it at some point. There's just so much throughout this league, and then just I'm sorry, what Jason Sisson did was just absolutely
Oh yeah,
disrespectful. I had to.
yeah. That was disgusting. That dude's a beast too. So is the quarterback for Silk City. That dude's nice, David. David
Oh yeah,
Miller.
David Tender
He's a
is
monster.
yeah,
Yeah, he's
he's
a
he's
monster.
he's an absolute problem that not a lot of people have figured out just yet. I still say he's like for the older heads out there, he's like Fran Tarkenton in Cam Newton's body. It just can run around, can run you over, and has
Yeah.
that deceptive speed to be able to just get by you. So it's so now. I mean, you got the buzz this week, but when you got the rest of the how the outlook on the rest of the season, what are some things that at least you guys feel that you may need to work? I mean, obviously there's stepping stones to get better. So, I mean, obviously without giving too much, because people are watching, they're going to want to figure things out as well. But what are some things that, at least from what your viewpoint, that you guys after, especially after this week, that you feel we need to get better in this aspect or this aspect, so that we can be able to continue to grow and put some more wins up on the board?
Yeah, so I think we need to be able to string. I think we can string together pretty long drives, but we're getting in these situations where it's like 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 12. So we're not like, and that's mostly my fault because I'll call something that I think is going to work, and then somehow the defense just lines up in the way I didn't want them to line up, and I'm like, fuck, like, So I think my play calling needs to get a little bit better, especially for the more you know top tier teams, I would say, because they're gonna adjust to everything as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just like uh, I can't run QB power all day against a lot of these teams. So um, that I think defensively. I think we're definitely trending in the right direction defensively. Um, we need to be able to deal with shiftier quarterbacks a little bit better, which is crazy because some of the practices these guys had to deal with me. So, um, you know, uh, not saying I'm anything special, but they should be used to it, and it looks like they're a little bit like we're not tracking a moving quarterback very well because if I don't know the guy's name, but the guy who uh, subbed, I think is it Bebo that went
Yep,
in
Bebo.
for
Yep.
yeah. So Bebo went in for Corey, and he did well. Like he moved the ball well, he ran well. So I think moving forward, offensively, I think I need to have a better play selection, and defensively, we got to be able to match like you know someone like David, right? Like the dude's a freak. How the fuck are we going to deal with him? You know what I'm saying? So just certain things like that I want us to think about. Obviously, we take it one week at a time, but just you're never going to play a perfect game, but you know, try not
Well,
to. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. You can, especially in the game of football, you can always strive for perfection, but things don't always go perfectly. And we've got a question that actually was, Darren Palmer. I think he's trying to set up something, because he's from the sick witted out here in out in Vegas. Are there? I mean, you've been watching and stuff, but is there anybody outside of the division that you look at, whether it's from Vegas or anywhere else, that you look at and go, "Ooh, I'd like to play against that team. Like that game would be fun."
I mean, pretty much everybody. Like I'm open to playing against anybody. Like just it's so much fun to me. Like this league, and it's what's crazy is I was in Vegas a couple like about a month ago. I was playing with the USA team, the rugby team versus Greece, and we do these like team walks, like almost like a clear your head walk with
Mhm.
the whole team. And when we're walking, a guy walks past us and he yells something about, "Hey, if y'all want to, if you because someone told him that we play rugby. He's like, "Hey, if y'all want to be men, come play in the A7FL." And I laughed because I was like, "Oh shit, I want to go play in that." So I was like, that's pretty funny. So I don't know what team he was with or anything like that, but because I know the is it the Insomniacs?
Yep.
Yeah, they're like the they won it all last year, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Two-time back-to-back champions.
Yeah, which two-time champions in anything isn't easy. So yeah, obviously a team that I'm planning on watching some of their film.
And whoever it was, like I feel like it was on the Insomniacs because those guys stay talking shit in a good way. It's more like
Yeah,
positive banter, but
it
like,
wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. It was just funny. Yeah, it just made me laugh.
and I mean, it's a league that that's starting to really get a lot of traction, and it has been these last 5 years. There's been a lot of really good moments that the league has had that that they can really kind of get better at, and now bringing other teams, the word is getting out. Especially since you now had uh, uh somebody while you were practicing rugby letting you know, going, oh, I've been actually looking at that, like the word is definitely getting out there, and especially from the comments and stuff that we're seeing, you're gaining fans, sir. Your play, the style, I'm sure the way, the more people who get to know you, it's more, you're just going to get more traction and stuff with that. You're going to get a lot of people reaching out to you. You got guys definitely here on the West Coast and in Vegas that are showing up. Darren Palmer. He's one of the big dogs out here in the West playing for the Sick Wit. He's saying he's a fan.
Thanks, Darren. I appreciate it, man.
The CP3, an A7, veteran in this league. Same fan. Just you got a bunch of guys out here and that are watching, and they like the style of play, and we definitely like the style of play. I want to see more competition through it. That's one thing that I've been trying to preach throughout this league. Like, the more competitive play from every single team that we can get, the better the league is going to
Yeah.
get.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I don't think anybody wants to see like a ton of blowouts and stuff like that. Close games are so much fun. So
yeah,
like it's just this shit makes me feel like a kid again. Like Pop Warner, like I can't tell you how much fun I've been. Like I just wow, because I've been playing rugby for so long now since 2015, like consistently, almost like a job. Well, as a job, and like to just kind of take a step back and go back to where my first love was football. So like to go back and play in it, like it's just in something like this that it's just it's a ton of fun. So this league's awesome.
and great to hear. Great to hear. Um, Ryan, like we told everybody else, anytime you want to come back onto the show mid-season, outside, I'd love to be able to have you on to be able to talk more like the rugby, because that's something that we kind of want to tap into a little bit more as well. So, like at another time, I'd love to have you on to talk more about that as well. But like we've told everybody else, once you're on the show, door is always open. Just give a holler and we'll get something set up. But until then, appreciate you so much, sir, for being able to come on, give us a little bit of your time, and good luck this week, Cap.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. You guys take care. All right.
Yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen of the Jaffa Army, Captain America, Mr.
Peace.
Ryan Burroughs. Yeah, no, if you guys haven't seen his style of play, if you haven't seen it, everything is still on the YouTube channel. All the games. I think the way that they did it last year at Messick, I know you remember. Basically, it was just one long, basically 7 to 9 hour stream,
Hmm.
and now they're kind of breaking up each game into its own separate live streams so that I think that they can keep them on there so people can go back and watch and
Yeah, I need to go back and watch that one. That's the one I didn't get a chance to see. I caught like the very, very tail end of it.
Oh,
So.
I'm telling you, bro, you're gonna like it. You're gonna like the style of play. I was watching it, just going like, man, this team, especially for being a new team, they look good. They're definitely a squad that if not this year, going into the next few years, if they can continue to recruit well and just kind of build, that they're gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
Team's definitely gonna be a problem. And listen, Captain versus Mr. Tender, that's gonna be an interesting matchup down the line. Let me
I
see
don't know.
real
After
quick.
watching David Sitter and them last week, I don't know if nobody want to mess with them.
I
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
East Coast, yeah.
That game is gonna happen. Animals versus the Heathens is going to happen. Looks like, that's week 7. That's the last game of the year for the Animals and the Heathens on May 4th. That's going to be a very interesting game to watch. And depending on how things go, there could be a lot of implications behind that game. But week 2 is in the books. A lot of good stuff that built on, from week 1. You had the Silver State Stealth finally coming in, having their first game in the A7 in Nevada. They took on the Vegas Hunters and won 21-8. Sorry, and then Heathens taking it to the Old Bridge, New Jersey Hawks, 46-26. There's a lot to be excited for that team. There's a lot, very entertaining style, and again, when you have a quarterback that can not just run but enjoys the contact, really, that's scary. Like that's something that teams need to watch out for. But the guy can throw too. We've seen it. He's got an arm on him. He's got the arm talent to do it. So keep an eye out for the Virginia Heathens for sure. Then you had the East Orange Renegades taking on the Indianapolis Octane. They're in Cincinnati. The Renegades coming off of a heartbreaking 1-point loss, a 2-point conversion that could have won the game for them, just in and out the arms. And that's how the game ended. So they came back obviously pissed off and won 34-14 against the Octane, who were missing a few guys, especially a few to injury that happened the previous week. The Watchmen took on the Buzz, winning 26-12. I haven't seen. I can only go based off of what people have said about the Watchmen. I know that they're a good team. That's not something that I ever doubted, but I haven't necessarily had the chance to watch. Really, nobody has, because their games haven't been streamed like everybody else. I mean, unless you like an RTU. Come on, man. You got if you're gonna film the game, do it from the stands or something. Because I'm tired of looking at the turf. Come on, man. You got to get that rope figured out somehow.
Cameraman.
Get a tripod in the stands to get it looked at or something, man. Because every time I look at RTU stream, I'm either looking at the back of someone's jersey or the turf. Come on. So I mean, I'm sure we're going to see more of the Watchmen, especially when they get down to Asbury Park and playing against more of the Northeast teams. But it'd be nice. And then for the BIC these last 2 weeks, not really haven't had any commentary. The stream, and I think it had something to do with the weather. Because the weather out there in Cincinnati was it was a downpour. Like, it was coming down. So that might have had something to do with the connections and stuff, because it was very glitchy in certain aspects of, like, there were actually maybe like 2 or 3 touchdowns from that game that I didn't get a chance to put into the touchdown montage because of the fact that it would either freeze or the screen would go black, or it just wasn't. You could probably see it. There was one touchdown on the touchdown montage that just kind of, it was enough to where it made the cut, but you can see that there were some visual issues and stuff like that. It might have had to do with the weather. I'm not sure, but uh, the BIC of all teams, the BIC has been one of those teams that have been, we got commentary. We got to make sure we're watching this team. And the last 2 weeks, they haven't had any commentary. So we'll see. And then the BIC again, or actually, no, I'm looking at it. Oh, no, we'll get into it, but especially more on Friday as well, because week 3 is definitely rivalry week throughout the A7FL. But we'll talk more about that once we talk about week 3, especially on Friday's show. So stay tuned for that. And we got another guest for Friday. A lot of you don't like him. Corey mocks him a lot from time to time, but you'll see once we announce it who gets here on Friday. So stay tuned for that. Let's see. Like I said, Watchmen beat the Buzz 26-12. Then you had the Vegas Sick with it, taking on the Vegas Gold 70-12. Like, oh my Lord. Just okay. 2 things. 1, Gold got to figure it out. They got to figure something out. They got 12 points on the board. That's better than having a goose egg from the week before. But they got to, again, stepping stones. We're trying to make every single division better. So that's just the better that they can get that. Now the goal is to get more than 12 points and not get 70 points dropped on your head. That's the next goal. That was just it was another one of those games where you look at it and go, the Sickwit is for real. That's I don't think that was a question really, especially coming out of the Vegas division. But they still look good. The Gold looking a little bit better, but there's still quite a few things. Seen any improvements on the Richardson for the defensive coordinator. Seen any improvements on the defense for the Animals? If that's asking, seeing any improvements on the Animals, I mean, yeah, every team I think improved a lot in week 2. Obviously, week 1, Kat just said it right there. That there's the week 1 jitters, whatever it may be, and then you got to bring on family member Mr. Dub Alvarez, especially he knows a lot about the Vegas division as well, the voice of the A7FL West Coast. How are you, sir?
Well, I would be lying if I said I've had better days, but as I put in my headline, God will. So I will leave it at that.
This week, especially throughout Vegas, you and Chris and Derek and everybody, you guys have definitely seen a lot coming out of there. But was there anything that kind of stuck out for you? Improvements, anything else like that you noticed that are shedding some good light on what's coming in the Vegas division?
Well, I will say this. I really feel like the Hunters kept shooting themselves in the foot because that was a very winnable game for them. Because anytime Savion Cunningham makes you a play and gets you to the 3-yard line, you've got to catch that in. You cannot go backwards. And I really thought that was the turning point of the game. And I mean, like I said, name of the game is to win it. The Stealth found a way to win. It wasn't pretty, but I wouldn't necessarily be happy with that performance, and I'm sure they're not. And I'm sure they want to try to improve on that. And also, Sick With It is still very, very good. And, of course, we look forward to seeing the renewal of acquaintances between the Insomniacs and Sick at 4 p.m. on Sunday at Matter Academy. If I'm the GOAT, they found the end zone twice, one of them a defensive touchdown. So hopefully they can build on that. But now we can see if the next 3 games can be winnable games now that they've run the gauntlet per se. Because, I mean, like I said, there is some improvement. They have some good players, but it's hard to try to establish yourself when you're playing the top 2 teams in the division. I don't care who you are. That's tough.
Yeah.
That's like in the old days, you're trying to establish yourself and you got to play the BIC and the U. That's tough to do. Or the BIC, the U, and the Watchmen.
Back to back.
That's tough to do. So now, in the case of the Animals, since I'm now jumping to the Northeast, now that they have knocked down one pillar in beating the U in very convincing fashion,
64-38.
yes, now they go play an unbeaten Watchmen team because the Watchmen have something to prove. They feel like they still should belong in that upper echelon in the Northeast. So now you have 2 undefeated teams. Somebody will experience their first L in that L column this upcoming Sunday. So
It won't be the Animals.
I mean, look again. I can't say.
Oh no!
I from what I've seen from the Animals, and I'm glad you segued into that because the way that they played against the U, I'm sorry, I have never seen the U get dominated in that fashion, and that's just what it was. You can get mad at the wording, whatever, all you want to. When you get a 60 burger popped on you,
yeah,
you got dominated.
Yeah, they got boots to asses.
And that normally does not happen to the Patterson U. It does not, because normally if they lose, it's always because it's always a close game and it's always down to the wire from what we've seen of you. But you never seen a Patterson U team led by Huff. And we know Huff is one tough SOB trying to play through this injury and trying to give all he can. That is just, you admire him for that.
Yeah.
But it's like, are we seeing a changing of the guard, in a sense, if you will? Because like I said, it seems like, and the U try to get back in the game, like the U get within 14, and then the Animals would go on another run and just be like, no, we are not taking the foot off the gas. We will not let you in. We will not let you back in this game. And so now, in the case of the Animals, it's now, okay, can you put that aside and now focus on a Watchmen team that's coming in undefeated, kind of under the radar because they really haven't gotten much pub. And now it's okay, we've beaten one unbeaten team. Can we beat this unbeaten team and await that matchup? Because we know the eventual matchup that they want, and I'm pretty sure they have it circled on their calendar, is when they face the Trenton BIC. Because they knew we can score against them, but now the question is, do we have enough defense to finish them, if you will? Because
I think now they do, because the Animals defense, especially considered from where they were last year to where they are now, that defense is tough. That defense is strong, and there's a lot. I mean, I had said at the beginning of the year, when I look at the Animals top to bottom, and it's only kind of confirming what I had said in the beginning. At worst, the Animals have 2 losses this year. And one of them would be against the BIC, the other one was against the U. They just dominated the U. So now that goes down to 6 and possibly, because the BIC is still the BIC until proven otherwise. So there's a lot of things, and we just had Trey Robinson, who obviously BIC's not they're more worried about getting back to the championship to get back at the Insomniacs, and there were some things, especially this week when they took on the Crush, that seemed a little uncharacteristic. Some turnovers that they had that were a little questionable. I understand it was raining. I understand but you have to adjust on the fly.
That's part of
Just
football.
because the weather is shit doesn't mean you don't take care of the ball. That's just the cold hard truth of it. So when I look at it, again, the BIC took on the Crush. They won 39-20. Torrential downpour of a game from what I understand, the BIC only had 18 who traveled with them, which it's okay, but that's not your full squad.
No,
If I'm not mistaken, Ashanti Worthy was not on the field.
he was not there, but they still had Sterry Cockington, and that was pretty damn good enough to get by and get a 19-point win. But now,
I mean, Sterry had a defensive play too that I saw. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I did not know Sterry. I did not know that about your game, sir. Like, oh my goodness.
Well, apparently he only has to bust it out when he has to. But
I mean, apparently this
another
week he had to because of the fact
Yeah.
that they didn't have the guys that they needed.
But here's the wild card in all this, and that's the Renegades. Given of how the Renegades, some would say, should have beaten the BIC if they don't drop that 2-point conversion, which would have won them the game.
Yep.
How do they fit into all this? Because
I think them is that definitely that like you said, the wild card. That's a dark horse team for sure. That I don't think people recognize actually how good the team is. There have been talk like, oh yeah, the Renegades always start off strong, but then they fall off. I don't see that happening with the Renegades this year. I just don't. If it happens the other way, if it goes the complete opposite direction, that it is what it is. But just based off of what I've seen so far this season in just 2 weeks of play, they should be 2-0.
yeah, they should be.
They should be 2-0, all things considered. Even though the game was the way it was with the BIC, the Renegades, if you go back and watch that game, I understand why the Renegades went for the 2-point conversion and the win. They had all the momentum.
Mm-hmm.
They had all the momentum going into that overtime. There was literally nothing the BIC could do to stop the Renegades' offense. There was nothing that they could do that or going into the fourth quarter overtime. And again, people can say what they want to say, but my eyes told me Renegades had the momentum and they really had a good chance of beating the team. There was a good shot at the Renegades shocking the world and giving the BIC an opening week loss. That was a very real thing that could have happened. Well, you can downplay it all you want to, but the fact is what the fact is. So the Renegades are just, that's definitely a team people should be watching out for. And the rest of the schedule for them, who do they got? I think they might have. Oh nope, they've got the Hawks week 3, then they got the Watchmen week 4, then the Crush week 5, and then finishing off the season against the Buzz. Depending on how Baltimore looks this week, against the Animals, could tell me a lot about what could happen with the Renegades. The Renegades could go through that stretch with at most 1 loss. They can still, end the season with only 2 losses on their record. That's a possibility for sure. I mean, we'll see. They don't play the U, which strikes me as a little odd. But I mean, with the amount of teams and the amount of weeks that are in the season, it is what it is. But yeah, the Renegades are definitely a team, and probably having some connection issues out there. But Renegades are definitely a team that could that to watch out for. And Matt Six, again, I know you've watched the Animals. From what you've seen from them, is it enough for you to say, yeah, they might they might take the East this year.
I have a feeling they're gonna take the East. I called it in one of the chats the other day. I think it's gonna be the Animals versus the Insomniacs. I think Sick with it gonna shoot themselves in the foot on the last minute, and the Insomniacs gonna take it. But it's cool. Like this year is the first year I really got a chance to watch some of the other games. Some of the other teams. So it's like the past couple of years, it's like all I've been is Insomniacs, and that's all I've been able to watch. Going to the championship. So now I get to watch some other teams, and find a team that I really like, and we'll see. We'll see what it comes. I still ain't, found that team yet, but we're gonna see.
That's a ballsy call. Ballsy call, Matt Sticks. That's very bold.
I'm gonna call it.
Very bold.
I'm gonna call it here now.
If it's one thing that Matt Six is not afraid to do is to call it. That's for damn sure. And again, because we've been on this show plenty of times. If we're wrong, we're wrong, but we call it the way we see it. And I mean, picking a team to be the favorite team and stuff, I don't know if I can do that because there's so much in this league that when you look at every single team, there's a lot to like. There's a lot to look at and go, you know what? Instead of rooting for a team, I'd rather just sit back and be entertained.
Yeah.
Just let it go, let them go. But yep.
What do we know?
But what do we know?
Not a damn thing.
Some of y'all need to form one team like Voltron. That's what I do know. Y'all can be mad all y'all want to, but that's what I do know.
I mean, Vegas. And here's the thing, and I know because I've seen it. We've talked about it, at length, about what especially with the Vegas division could possibly do in order to, one, be more competitive, and two, stay around, because you can have two really good teams in your division, but you need at least four. You need at least four teams to be competitive, because we've had examples in this league that if you have a division and only one team is dominating the division, that division folds. We've had plenty of examples, and it hasn't even just been these last 2 years. There's been examples in the last decade of this league that shows that is the case. And I know some players, especially and I'll bring this up to Munchie. I'll bring it up to Munchie, eventually. And so, I kind of brought it up to Scooter a little bit, but, the guys want to play with who they trust. I understand that. I get that. You play with who you play with, family, especially when they're guys that you've been playing with, again, 365, you travel with them. There's that chemistry that you just don't want to break. I get that. I understand that. But outside of that thought, having the wherewithal to understand that if we continue to do this, there may be a good chance that this division folds. We can't do it with just the Insomniacs and the Sick-Witted. There has to be more. The Stealth, the Hunters, and the Gold need to get moving. They need to, whether it be really good players, the competition player, the competition level needs to improve if this division wants to stay alive. That's just the cold hard facts of it. You can have the two best teams in the entire league, but if the division isn't getting any better and it's just two teams, the chances of your division actually falling by the wayside is a lot higher than you would think. And, I brought it up to Mad Six a little bit before, we actually hopped on. I get wanting to play with your friends, but sometimes it's a little bit more fun to play against them. Sometimes as the competition level, it gets like, ooh, it's like, all right, we played with each other, for this. Let's see what we can do against each other. It's like in old wrestling. You got the tag teams that, with each other doing great things, but all right, let's go one-on-one. Let's see who the better teammate is. Type of thing. That's one thing that I would like to see. You know, and it's not about, you know, oh, well, if I can't trust these guys, I don't want to play with it. I'd rather play with the guy. Build the trust. You go to a new team with nobody you know, you have to build it. Everybody has to start from ground zero at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You got to build that trust. If you can't go to a new team and be able to build that chemistry, build that trust, and I'm sorry, people, this is going to rub people the wrong way, but there's a reason why they call me the bad guy. Were you really that good to begin with? How good are you? Are you good? We know how good you are when you have all the chemistry in the world. But how good of a player can you be to go to a team that's struggling and be able to elevate them to new heights? Are you that guy? Or are you just going to be the guy that, you know what? I'm just going to play. We're going to play with our friends. Don't want to break the chemistry. We want to, you know, continue to build this and ride it out, see how far it goes. We're good with, you know, guys are good with being role players, you know, okay. That's fine. Nothing get you. If that's how you want to go get your 3-peats, your 4-peats, whatever it may be, that's fine. But when the division crumbles because there's only one team dominating the division, you kind of only have yourselves to blame. There is nobody else to be able to put that on besides you. Because when the division crumbles, then you oh man, maybe we should have done that. You know, y'all can play with each other the rest of the year, flag football, whatever it is that you guys do. Nobody's saying that you have to play against each other when it comes to the rest of the year. But at least when it comes to the A7 and you want to keep the division afloat, there has to be a more competitive balance. There just has to be. Now, whether you're recruiting outside talent to be able to come onto these teams or whatever, but when you look at it the way it is right now, should the Watchmen find a double team? You can the Watchmen can double team Manny Diaz. What are they going to do about Ghost? What are they going to do about Kwani Morgan? What are they going to do about David Tender? What do you get? Double teaming double teaming somebody is very difficult when you have 7 men on the field. It's a little bit easier when you got 11, but when you got 7 and you double team, the animals are a lot more well-rounded than people that actually give them credit for. David Tender can honestly do it all. He can run, he can pass, he can make you look like shit, and he can dribble you like a basketball. We've seen it happen. Kwani Morgan, the dude is a playmaker, a highlight reel. He right now, Kwani Morgan.
He's a hybrid.
Kwani Morgan is somebody in this league who, some people are going to give shit about this too. He reminds me a lot of Ashanti Worthy. In the fact that 3-on-1, he can break it off whenever he wants to. And then when he's on, whether a running back, slot receiver, wherever it is that they have, he can break whenever he wants to. He's that type of player. And Manny Diaz is just a receiver who, even if you double teamed him, he'd probably still be hard to stop. They've got a really, really good thing going for the Silk City Animals right now. So the Watchmen, nobody in the East should be overlooking anybody. Period. I don't give a fuck how good you think your team is. Every one of these teams in the East, the BIC, the U, the Animals, the Renegades, all 4 of the even the Hawks, the Heathens are looking like a team that if you're not prepared for them, they can bowl you over. The East has a good group of teams there that if you overlook them, they will beat your ass. They will take advantage of it. So the overlooking you can't do that in the East, but you can in the West. People, again, you can get mad at it all you want to until the competitive balance happens. Until we start seeing the gold not getting goose egged every week against everybody they play, until we see the hunters stop shooting themselves in the foot, I still need to see more from the stealth. But even they had, there were plenty of times that the stealth could have popped it wide fucking open and dropped 40. That could have easily happened, but certain things go down. I understand the game of football is what the game of football is. But nobody, I'm sorry, but nobody in the West can tell me that there is full-on competitive balance, that all 5 teams in the division are good and worth something. You can't. You just can't. Now, are those bottom teams looking better? Yes. From week 1 to week 2, there have been stepping stones. Teams are getting better. They're starting to kind of figure it out. You're not going to build the same chemistry that the Insomniacs have or the Sick-Witted have overnight. It's just not going to happen. But what you do with it now will tell me how the division is going to look as years go by. And if there isn't any improvement, they're just everybody on the Insomniacs and everybody on the Sick-Witted are going to have to sit and take it, because there's nothing that you can say to the East that is going to convince them that your division as a whole is actually tough. I saw people getting pissed off that they put the Animals over the Insomniacs. Yeah, strength of schedule matters. And on top of the fact that the Insomniacs didn't play this week. So yeah, they're going to be at number 1. But again, strength of schedule matters. Other than the U, who are the Insomniacs worried about? I'll wait. We're going to have crickets probably the rest of the goddamn show. Nobody. There's nobody. If I can look at every single game, that rivalry week, the Sick-Witted and the Insomniacs this week, going to be a hell of a game. I can't wait to watch it. But then when you go down the schedule, the Insomniacs versus the Stealth, the Insomniacs versus the Hunters, and then that's their last 2 games. There is nothing in my body right now that says the Insomniacs are going to have a problem with either one of those teams. Same goes for the Sick-Witted. Both teams could be dropping 60 to 70 plus on all of those teams. And that's the thing. When you look at the grand scheme of everything, when you talk about investors, you want people to put money into the league. They're not going to put money into something when they look at it, there's no competitive balance. I'm not going to put my money in a division with only 2 teams when there's 5.
You sound like Thanos right now.
I'm just saying, like, it's just not. It's not going to bring the attention that's needed. Are you going to win games? Yeah, you're going to win games, of course. But it's not going to be necessarily entertaining. The only way it gets entertaining is when they start pulling plays out of, Statue of Liberty plays, when you're already up by 60-something points. Zelly, we don't give a damn about the rankings. The rankings was only made for the... Oh, my God, here we go. I'm sorry, Zelly. I saw a few people who were throwing a fit. I saw actually a lot of people who were throwing a fit over that. There's actually, Scooter had to basically go in and calm it down. And then there were other people whose, again, strength of schedule matters. And it's not only made for the East Coast, because again, the Insomniacs have been at the top of the board up until this week. So you can't say it. I'm sorry. And pretty much all of last year, the Insomniacs were on the top of the board. So again, this whole East Coast bias, throw that shit out the fucking window. Everybody in the East and the West know who the Insomniacs are and have acknowledged how good the team is. Nobody has ever taken that away from y'all. So the whole East Coast bias, throw it out the fucking window. I'm actually tired of hearing it, to be completely honest, because it's just not true. None of that is true. Because if that was true, and they actually went by strength of schedule and like the actual fact, the Insomniacs would be at number 3, or maybe number 4, if we're going based off strength of schedule. What I'm seeing is you have a great team who's dog walking everybody. You have the recognition and everything. Then if you don't care, then why do we keep bringing it up? If you didn't care about the East Coast bias, why is that constantly being brought up? I'm not just saying it's you, Zelly. I'm talking about everybody. Why is East Coast bias constantly being brought up? If that ever gets brought up, Zelly, be the one to shut it the fuck down. So if you don't care about the rankings, why'd you bring it up? Why does it matter then? Why even say, oh, well, it's made for the East Coast? Again, why does it fucking matter? If it's really that case, it shouldn't matter then. So then everybody else on the team or anybody else who's making it, oh, they're making the East Coast, y'all should be shutting it down. There should be nobody on the Insomniacs that should be saying shit about it. Because y'all know it's not true. Y'all obviously don't give a shit, but if you don't give a shit, why does it keep getting brought up? Obviously somebody cares. But again, leaders of the team, Zelly, Scooter, Anthony Wilkerson, Munchie, y'all shut that shit down. Y'all tell your team, hey, get off the goddamn chat lines talking about East Coast bias and this, other. Stop it. Because none of that is true. Absolutely none of that is true. Everybody knows the back-to-back champions are the real fucking deal. The only thing that anybody has held over it was the fact that y'all didn't have a lead until the last 17 seconds of the game in last year's championship. The Boonak blessing coming in with the 2 interceptions in a row against Tampa.
Actually, they led twice in that game.
Still under a minute total.
Be it as it may, all I'm saying is
that's the only thing.
They led twice in that game. Well, technically 3 times because they won at the end, but they did have leads more than once in that game.
But what I'm saying is, at those points, those are the only things. But again, nobody is denying how good the team is. I have yet to see one person on the East Coast, and we're over here talking about East Coast bias. I have yet to see one person on the East Coast say that the Insomniacs are not good. The only thing that is being held really against the Insomniacs is the strength of schedule. That's it. That's the only thing that's being held against you guys. Not the fact that you can't beat a good team, in the East Coast, because you proved that you can beat the BIC at full strength in their home turf. That's proven. Nobody can deny that. Anybody who is denying that could also put a pacifier in their mouth and shut the fuck up. Nobody's denying that. But the facts are what the facts are. Until the division as a whole gets better, that is still going to be hung over your heads, whether you care about it or not. You guys do give a shit because you keep bringing it up. You don't care, don't talk about it. Let the game do all the talking. That's it. Be those leaders that go and tell the rest of everybody else, hey, if anybody brings it, we know we're good. Shut the fuck up. Don't even acknowledge it. Don't even bring it up. We don't need to bring it up. We've already proven it 2 years in a row. Going on a possible 3-peat. Because there's still yet to be an answer found for the team because of the amount of depth that you guys have. So, like, nobody's denying the greatness. What the questions are the small, especially when it comes to being able to keep the division as a whole. Having to keep the Las Vegas division up and running for more than just 3 or 4 years. Being a staple in the league for years to come. That's what's necessary. The competitive balance is necessary. Now, people need to recruit. Fine. Whatever it takes to get the division better, whether that means some of the players on the Insomniacs need to, I get they know their role. They have role players, but go to another team to be able to elevate. Again, it's about elevating the division. Elevating the division to the point where now nobody can hold a goddamn thing over your fucking heads. Because not only have you proved that you can beat the East Coast, but you proved that you did it in a division that's actually worth a shit. Now, you think if the Insomniacs were in the East Coast doing what they're doing, anybody would be saying anything about how good the Insomniacs are? No, because they're beating legitimate teams every single week. Not just one good team out of the year and the rest of them are cupcakes. That's the point that I'm trying to make. That's what I don't think anybody else understands. I understand where the Insomniacs are right now. Their friends are better. I understand it. I get it. But at what point do you start looking outside of your team and looking at the betterment of the division? Look what happened to the Chaos. Dominated their whole division. There's no more Ohio division now. The Nightcrawlers dominated their division. There's no more Florida division now. You can dominate all you want to, and you can be happy while doing it, but if your division folds, it doesn't matter what the fuck you did. Because there's no more division to be able to represent. It's all a history lesson now at that point. Oh, remember when that team, the Insomnia? Oh man, if only that division were to have stayed and not folded. Oh man, if only there was more competitive balance. They could have, that division could have really uplifted everything. That division really could. All the questions that are currently being asked will continue to be asked until the division gets better as a whole. That's all I'm saying. Competitive balance makes the division better, the league better, and it shuts everybody else up on the other side about strength of schedule. That's what it all comes down to. At what point do players on the Insomniacs go, you know what? We need to do something to help the division. And again, like I've had plenty of times where, in my playing career, I love friends. Playing against them is also fun. So at what point, hey, Zelly, wouldn't it be cool to, see how you would fare against Munchie? Wouldn't it be cool to see how Juice would fare against Anthony Wilkerson? Wouldn't it be it would be an interesting matchup to see those types of games. And it's not like, oh, well, it's about, and I sound like a fucking broken record, but I feel like nobody's understanding it. Nobody's getting it. Being able to make another team better shows how good you really are. You can dominate with a team full of all-stars that you all have been playing with. But can you dominate when you join another team? Can you be the guy that elevates another team? That also shows how good you are. Oh, I don't have trust in the lineman. I don't have trust in this. Well, create the trust. Help them get better so that you don't have to worry about that anymore. Why not? Or is everybody that content? Because when you stay content, you don't grow. When you stay content, the division doesn't grow. And when the division doesn't grow, guess what happens? There's a lot that still needs to be done with the Vegas division. You have two really, really good teams that can compete with teams in the East. That's not debatable. But can you guys now be able to beat those pillars in the Vegas division to be able to get everybody as a whole? You can't tell. Like, that's why it's one of the reasons why I have a lot of respect for guys like, Savion Cunningham, because I'm sure he's been tempted to join the Insomniacs or join the Sick Witted. I'm sure he has. But why hasn't he joined the team? Because he wants to be able to try and elevate others around him on other teams. He was doing it with the OTT. OTT was on pretty good projection until, things folded with them. Now the Stealth, pretty much having players from both the Force and the OTT on the team, they have potential to be, a really good team in the division. The Hunters with, Savion with the Hunters and everything, they have guys there that you can build around. But you're never going to know that when they keep getting 70 points dropped on their head. How much good can you really talk about a team when 70 points gets dropped? Like, not much. Not a whole hell of a lot. So that's where the difference from the East and West comes in. It's about the strength of the division as a whole, not about who you are individually as a team. And again, y'all don't care. Y'all want to keep on this project. That's fine. And I'm sure most of y'all wouldn't blink twice if the division folded, because y'all still got other stuff you guys can do. Flag football, professional flag, whatever it may be. You guys play with that. A7's gone. Okay, we still have other stuff we got to do. If that's the length of it, we're trying to find people who actually give a fuck about this league to where it actually grows to where it deserves to be. It's been 11 plus years as this league. 11 as the A7FL, and I think about 4 or 5 as Town Beef. Damn near 20 years of this league. And the most that everything can show for it is a few viral clips? Nah. That doesn't sit well with me. With as much as we've seen in this league, there is no reason why a couple of viral clips here and there is the only thing that the league puts out. None. It's too good. It's too entertaining. We have a lot of people who care. Matt Ryan, oh my God. If you want to find somebody who actually gives a shit about this league, who could have walked away a while ago to do bigger and better things.
More than once.
Look at Matt Ryan. Because of everything that he's seen. Big Rob can definitely go do bigger and better things. But he still cares. Corey, my God. Most of the people here on the West don't like him. A good amount of people on the East don't like him either because of some of the shit that he talks. But he gives a shit about the league. Most of the guys who have been in this league since the Town Beef days, they give a fuck about the league. Those are guys who are putting their bodies on the line, their voices, like everything that Matt Ryan is like, God damn, he's putting his mental health on the line for this fucking league. For all the shit that he has to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And yet, he still gets flack from a lot of players in the league. Matt Ryan is one of the reasons why the sponsors that have been in this league are there. That's point blank, period. without Matt Ryan being the voice of the A7FL, the Jim Ross of the A7FL, some of these sponsorships would not be there. And he's still getting shit. Oh, yeah, Matt Ryan's commentary. Man, fuck off with that. Without Matt Ryan, y'all probably wouldn't even have a league right now. Or at least nothing that's worth being able to watch. Without Dub and Chris actually putting the passion that they do in commentating the games. Nobody's going to watch without these guys there. Because, I'm sorry, I've heard other announcers. Ain't nothing exciting about it. Nothing. If you've seen the last 2 weeks of the BIC games, I don't know who's been doing I guess you can call commentary on them, but there's a reason why when I put the highlight films, the volume is all the way down on that clip. Because there's nothing exciting about it. Get mad all you want to. That's just cold hard facts of it. So at this point, it's, what are y'all going to do? Are y'all going to just consider, and I'm seeing it right now, didn't fair to rank the teams that haven't played majority again, but we don't care, right? It's getting mentioned, but we don't care. Again, I could talk till I'm blue in the face about this shit, but I think we can all agree that we all give a shit about this league. Enough to where we cover it on a week-to-week basis. We cover it during the offseason. We talk about it. We're excited about it during the offseason. Everything that we do for this league is because we care. We, here on the All-Pro JAFFOs, minus Dub, we don't have to, but we care. There's a whole bunch of other shit that we can cover, but we dedicate the show to, when the A7 is coming out during the season, because we care. We want to help get the word out. We want everybody to see how special this league is. That's just a matter of if everybody else is going to get on board with it, or if this is just something else, somebody does. Oh, this is just another thing I do on the weekends. Yeah, I'll leave the floor open to you guys. So I know I've talked a whole hell of a lot, and I know some people are fucking tired of hearing me. But what do y'all think?
The point is, like I said, through people that I know, I would have never gotten to have the opportunity to meet Derek Duncan, and I wouldn't be doing this being my third season. Because, obviously, for those that don't, I have been an aspiring sportscaster since I was 5 years old, and this has kind of helped fulfilling my eventual goal that I want to be. And this is definitely a platform and a stepping stone to help me get there. So, without it, I wouldn't have the opportunity. Like I went from doing high school stuff to now this. To which the people that helped me get there, I am grateful for. And hopefully I can use this, which is why I go hard as I do on these broadcasts. Because again, I'm trying to get noticed like everybody else. Like players want to get noticed to get on to bigger and better things from this league, be it Arena League, be it the UFL, what have you. Well, it's the same for broadcasters. We're trying to get a TV deal too to, try to make this into a professional long career. That's the goal for me. That's why I go hard in these broadcasts and, do the best I can with these podcasts to the best of my ability. Because again, like I said, this is the career I want to be in is sportscasting, because I know it's a very good career that can lead to many good things.
Yep. Mad Six?
What you said is right. It's all about sustainability. So if you can't sustain a league, then two teams can't do it all by themselves. So you got to have some other teams involved. I mean, if y'all need a player, man, if y'all lacking players, man, for the right price, I might come out of retirement early. Lace them up one time, get in the gym, and do it. But see, y'all ready and serious. I just can't come out for nothing to get 70 points put on my head. That ain't fun.
Because it's just, again, competitive balance is the key to sustainability. I mean, you're going to have, a few teams here and there, whether they don't win or one win or whatever. But to have an entire division -2 to be in that category, it's not sustainable. It's just not. And Derek Duncan, I know he's been breaking his back, to make sure that this division stays, sticks around. I know he cares, for as much as he does, and as much of the conversations that I've had with him, I know he gives a shit, and I know he wants he's been on the show and has said we've weeded out the people who don't want to be here. So now it's just continuing the steps. Nobody's saying that the teams are, that every team is shit, but there's more than two teams, to sustain the division. Two teams ain't going to do it. As good as they are, it's just not going to happen that way. That's just how shit goes. So it's there's a lot that this league brings that can be built upon, that deserves to be shown, because that's what this league deserves. All the good things that happen to it, and every single year more and more things happen. The amount of different places that you can watch the league now, on Tubi, on Roku, Fox Soul, Stadium, not just YouTube, DAZN, Triller TV, Lights Out Sports on Fox 26 in Houston. They don't even have a fucking division in Texas yet. And I say yet because when that happens again, oh boy, y'all don't want to see them Texas boys on the field. I'm telling you. So there's so much that's exciting and that's great about this league. We would hate to see something bad happen because of the fact that there wasn't an overall forward-thinking outlook by everybody, not just a handful of people. Everybody, including the players, including the coaches, GMs, owners, top to bottom, commentary teams. Everybody needs to give a shit in order for the league to get to where it can get. And I think it could happen. It's just a matter of it being shown. It's just a matter of players and coaches and everybody else being able to get together and go, what are we going to do for the betterment of the league, instead of what are we going to do for the betterment of ourselves. Selfish thinking does nothing but kill, leagues or entertainment or whatever it may be. When you got a group of people who really are only in it for themselves, it doesn't last very much. When you want to get this league to the point where you're paying players, you could be able to start competing on a national level, maybe even expand, from a 7-week season to a 10-week season. All the different conversations that are happening. What if? Oh, what if we can do this? What if we can do this? What if we can do this? None of that fucking happens if everybody in the league isn't bought in from top to bottom. If y'all care, then you're here for the right reasons. If you don't, just fucking get out now. Find something else to do. If you don't give a shit about it the way you should give a shit about it, go find something else to do. Because this ain't the league for you. This is a league that we know can do something. I kind of, I haven't said it but I really truly feel it. And, this is going to kind of go to like pro wrestling terms almost with it. I look at the A7FL almost like an ECW. A revolutionary aspect of the game that when everybody watches, they are entertained. I have yet to meet a person who has watched the A7FL and said they weren't entertained. Everybody that I have seen, whether it's social media or talked to personally, has said, hey, yeah, no, that league looks fun. People who aren't in the league, we got social media posts and stuff. I can go through some of the comments on some of these social media posts and show you how many people, hey, where do I sign up? Send them, hey, go to a7fl.com. Go to the player registration. If you got a division or a league or a team or whatever in your area, hey, join up. Because it is fun. It is entertaining. So there's a lot of things that can go down. And there's a lot of what ifs and what abouts. But everybody from top to bottom needs to be bought in. And I know that can happen. I do have faith that can happen. And the only reason why I talk the amount of shit that I talk and say the shit that I say is because I give a shit, about this league. It's because I have, passion for this fucking game. There is a reason. So everybody, Tuesday night, have a great rest of your week. Thank you guys for joining us. Captain America, Mr. Ryan Burroughs, appreciate you for coming on, sir. We'll hopefully talk to him again, and maybe again outside of A7 when the season's over, more rugby and stuff to be able to kind of get him in on that aspect. But we do appreciate having him. Appreciate everybody in the comments and stuff who's keeping it going strong. Zelly, I love you. You know it's all out of love, sir. You know it's all out of love. Get to us again on Friday night. Munchie, Mr. Eric Schufer of the Las Vegas Insomniacs, will be a part of the show. If he's watching now, let's go. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it all. Can't wait to talk about it. We've been wanting to have him on for a little while now, so glad that we can finally be able to get him on the show. Dub, sir, always a pleasure, and you already know that one of our biggest supporters, one of our best family members, who's constantly a member of this show. The official, unofficial All-Pro JAFFO. Matchstick's greatest DJ on the fucking planet. There's we don't just say it. The moniker is there for a reason. That if you go to all of his social media handles, you will know exactly why. So once again, appreciate you guys for hanging out with us on this Tuesday night. We'll see you guys again Friday here on JAFFOS TV. If you are any sort of D&D fan, D&D type of nerd, get here with us on Wednesday, tomorrow, for session 9 of Boss Initiatives, the Sable Knights. And then once again, All-Pro JAFFOS on Friday. And then I'm hoping for maybe a Ring Psychology podcast episode coming this Saturday, especially with WrestleMania and everything like that coming up. We will be in the building for the Go Home show on Raw here in Sacramento. Myself, Mizzle, and TG will be at the Golden One Center enjoying us some Monday Night Raw. So again,
yeah, my wife going to that shit, and I didn't even get an invite. She taking one of the kids. I didn't even get an invite. I'm like, ain't that about it? Sorry.
Well, I think we can we'll figure something out. We'll figure something out. I think we can figure something out when it comes to this case. So we'll see. Getting invite. What the fuck? What do you mean? We had been talking about this the whole time. What? Nah.
I'm talking about the wife
bullshit.
didn't. I'm talking about the wife didn't invite, but she taking one of the kids. I didn't even get a ticket.
Let you talk about this for a second.
Sorry. When I go to the Super Bowl on my own one of these years.
Oh, see, that's that petty shit. All right, everybody. Love you guys. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you guys again Friday. For myself, the bad guy JP, for the greatest DJ on the planet, Mr. DJ Mad 6. We'll see you guys again. Deuces.
Peace.